In this election's countdown, the issue of Cambodia has become one of the highlights, with implications to national politics. The way this government has been handling the Pravihan temple has been consistent, somewhat, and we seem to be on the defensive. Recently, Cambodia has asked the World Court to reinterpret its 1962 ruling, and Thailand and Cambodia made their way to The Hague, the headquarters of the World Court, to make an oral presentation on the issue. And now with me today, we're going to discuss the implications of this issue. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Charan Kantawong. He's from the Democrat Party. He's been running for MPs over the past several years, and he's now on party list number 13. Next, Dr. Charupan Kundilok, the lecturer from Mahidol University, and she's running on the Pheu Thai ticket, party list number 56. Dr. Charan, in Cambodia's argument, it would like the World Court to reinterpret the 1962 ruling. That means that Cambodia, would like the court to interpret the boundaries, within or around the temples. What's your view on this?
You see, I like to a little bit go back. So actually, the Cambodia went to the Security Council already. It's about a few months ago, and Security Council referred that to the Asean to take care of that. And but they did not bring the case of the interpretation of the ruling. And so that just now they bring the case again to the International Court of Justice for interpretation. And the purpose of Cambodia would like the World Court to interpret that to include the land around the temple to be Cambodia, which that is another story. Because in 1962, the court ruled that Pravihan temple and the land under this one belong to under the sovereignty of Cambodia. That's all. So
just the temple and the land beneath.
That's all.
Yeah,
beneath, that's all. And no other area surrounded the temple belong to Cambodia. So that's I don't think we should lose the case. That's my interpretation.
And Cambodia has been complying with this ruling all along, with regard to the surrounding area around the temples.
Yes, we have complied to that, and we let them move around, but they violated. They have the troops to go up there, and then they violate the international law.
And then, secondly, Cambodia, would like the World Court to have some sort of provisional measures, asking for the Thai troops, to withdraw, from the area. What's your view on this?
We already withdraw from the Pravihan temple already. So, but the areas around that belong to Thailand, so we should not withdraw.
Dr. Charupan, what's your view on this? On the two major points being argued in the World Court.
In the World Court, we have to ask the World Court on the fact that the area surrounding the land surrounding Pravihan is still belong to Thailand, and it's very difficult if we are using the military to justify the land over there, because withdrawal of the troops will mean that we accept that there is the dispute area that we still conflict which one who is the real owners. So we have to go back to the diplomat agenda, how this come to this further. It not should come to this further. I don't think that we have the necessary to pushing the Cambodian side to the World Court. Actually, this issue shouldn't be in the World Court today, as today this is the diplomat fallacy.
And do you think that it was wise on the Thai part, to make our way to the World Court to defend this case?
I think we will. I mean, we will be in the positions behind Cambodia. So there is the way to solve these problems, but not in the World Court.
Yes, I like to make a follow up to Ajahn Charupan. You see, we have traveled to other countries, particularly in Europe. You see in the movies that they were fighting in the Second World War between Germany, France, and other countries. But now they do not fight anymore. But they have a joint development of the area, of the disputed area. In one house, you see, in front of the house belongs to Germany, and the other side belongs to Switzerland, and the other side belongs to France. So because before they had wars, they had conflicts, but now they have a joint development. I think in the past, we used to develop together of the Pravihan temple. You see, we open to the tourists. The tourists can come in, but they can come to Thailand side. Then we can charge them with a certain amount of money. And then they will go up to the temple. The Cambodia can charge another amount of money so that the joint development can take place. Would we attract a lot of tourism? So that I would propose that we should not, those who claim just claim, but should have no fighting. No fighting and claim, but we should talk on diplomacy. We should negotiate it. And this morning I watched the news. I heard that Hun Sen would like to talk to Abhisit about this, and Abhisit lay the conditions that, okay, Abhisit would be willing to talk to Hun Sen, but he should suspend the world heritage of Pravihan temple, and also withdraw the case from the International Court of Justice so that we can talk. So this is the situation at the moment.
Okay. Do you think that Hun Sen would accept this proposal, from the Thai Prime Minister?
I think
first it has to withdraw the inscription of the Pravihan temple.
That's right. Because we have to go back to the diplomacy and international affairs with Cambodia. That is the way to fight, not go directly to World Court. I have to blame Democrats, because we shouldn't come to this far to the World Court. Actually, the diplomats' resolution will be the most important things. And now we come back to diplomats' resolutions. Now we have to accept that this is the way to solve the Pravihan dispute. I think Democrats will learn that they have to talk nicer to the neighbors in order to solve the dispute. And I have to tell a little bit about the story that make Thai people very confused about history of this area. This is not the international conflict, but actually the internal conflict. First of all, not just only talk directly to Cambodian side, but Democrats had to talk with PAD as well and solve the internal conflict. That's why, how come we come to this far? Because Kun Abhisit promised so much to PAD when he was the opposition in the parliament, that we have to argue with the Cambodian, and so that's why he have to go back to PAD as well and solve these history issues.
Kun Supalak Kanchanakundi, the regional expert, of the nation, has been covering the Cambodia affair and has been closely, over the years. Kun Supalak, let me go to you. How do you see the court's ruling, later on this month, and how Thailand can bring this Pravihan temple conflict back to the negotiations so that both sides can really talk it out, without having to bother the World Court?
Well, if you want to bring the case back, you have to have one precondition, that a good relation with Cambodia. Otherwise, you cannot negotiate with the Prime Minister Hun Sen to withdraw the case, because we have the right to do in the procedures of the International Court of Justice, because Cambodia used the right in according with the Article 60. That means they can do unilaterally. They can withdraw unilaterally as well. So if they agree to withdraw the case back into the bilateral negotiation. But let me remind, I think we should keep in mind that if we want to have some kind of bilateral mechanisms, if it done its work, you have good relation. Otherwise, it's really unrealistic to have the case back into the table, and you cannot negotiate anything because both sides have really, really tough stand and there's no compromise. So the thing is going to be, I think if we want to do it that way, we have to take time, just delay the case in the court and just try to make good relations and try to convince Cambodia to say, well, it's better to have negotiations on the table.
Coming up, India to buy US made aircraft, and Facebook call prompts protest marches in Vietnam, and many more stories after the break.